Welcome back to Informed Sources. A leaked document suggesting the Supreme Court's conservative majority may be planning to overturn Roe v. Wade continues to cause controversy tonight. The leak involves a pending case out of Mississippi concerning a state law that bans abortions after the first 15 weeks of pregnancy. Now, in that document, Justice Samuel Alito wrote that it is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a statement calling the document authentic, but he says it does not represent a final decision from the court. That is expected to come in late June or early July. So, Chris, we only know what we know. We know what the draft said, and we know that there were a lot of those conservative justices, most if not all of them, supporting it. At this point, what was your reaction to the fact that it was leaked, number one, and the fact that they are leaning toward overturning Roe versus Wade?
Yeah, the leak was obviously unacceptable. That's an important norm in our system of government to maintain the court's impartiality, to ensure that it is not swayed by public pressure, and obviously that was the intent of the leak. So that was unacceptable. I hope they find out who did it and that it doesn't happen again. Regarding the decision, now I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I happen to agree with it both on constitutional grounds and on just general philosophical moral grounds. Many people in the Republican Party, on the right, within the conservative movement, have longed to see this decision since 1973. Since then, there's been about 50 million abortions, and people who share my opinions consider each one of those a tragedy. Obviously, there's a lot of people who disagree on this issue in good faith. They have well-reasoned arguments, but that's where I stand on it.
Gabby, do you think Republicans are focusing more on the leak and less on the substance of this actual draft?
Yeah, and as an American, I too am concerned with the leak. I think that I'm concerned also that it's taking a long time to figure out how that occurred. But, the truth of the matter is that I believe, and Democrats believe, that how you get somewhere matters. And those justices were dishonest in their confirmation hearings because all of them said that they supported precedents and have not. We know that those statements in the leak was true of what was said in it, and they're going against what they said under oath, that they swore on the Bible. That their statements were reflective of what their beliefs were. So I think that's very concerning.
Now, if the court does this, some people are saying it would basically eliminate a woman's right to choose. But do you think that's true? Because basically it would just shift it to the burden of the states.
It is absolutely true, especially here in Tennessee, because we have Amendment 1 passed in 2014, not guaranteeing a woman's right to privacy in these types of decisions. And it doesn't guarantee even if a woman's life is in danger. Beyond that, we have a trigger bill that passed and a 6-week ban. So for Tennessee and our state, it is a very dangerous place for women. And I find it really hard to think that this is a good faith argument because, we haven't expanded Medicaid. Where are these women and people that are having babies going to deliver their babies when we've closed 12 hospitals in Tennessee? Why do we not have paid maternity leave and paternity leave so that families can thrive once the baby is born? I think those are questions that the governor and the Republican majority need to answer here in Tennessee for families.
And Chris, what's your reaction to that when you hear that it could be dramatically affecting people here in Tennessee? How do you think it's going to affect the people in the Mid-South?
Yeah, this may surprise you, but I like a lot of what Gabby said about making sure that we have support for these women and children. And I think that the Republicans in the state legislature should start looking at that. I think that we need to have a social safety net that protects people. But I think the most important thing she said is babies, which is it's not a fetus that's just a clump of cells. It's a baby. It's a person. And I'm very, very happy that our state has stepped up to protect that person, that it's right to life, her right to life, the baby in the womb. But I also do agree with what she said and echo her comments that as a people, as a community, in the private sector, privately, but also publicly, we need to make sure that we are accompanying all of these women, especially lower income women, and providing people as much support as we possibly can, especially in light of this decision. So,
Gabby, if the High Court does go ahead and adopt this draft and does reverse Roe versus Wade, do you think that this could open up other issues that have been already adopted by the court and they could be in jeopardy, for instance, same-sex marriage?
Yeah, I think that is a concern for many presidents. But, you know, to what Chris said is talk is cheap. The governor and the supermajority have had the opportunity to make a difference for families, and they haven't. The fact that we have a surplus on TANF funding speaks to their bad faith in discussing this issue. So, you know, you can say whatever you want to say, but what works and what matters is what bills get passed and what gets signed. And they are the supermajority, so they haven't done anything about it so far.
All right. When we come back, will he or won't he? Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson says he isn't ruling out a run for the White House in 2024. We'll discuss his chances coming up next on Informed Sources.